Yeah, so I would refer back to the method of centering prayer, which is my sort of contemplative prayer of choice. Centering prayer incorporates silence, solitude, and stillness. And some of the other prayer practices may include one or two of those elements, but centering prayer includes all three, which I find to be really important. And silence, solitude, and stillness, I think, have a way of connecting us with Christ and identifying with Christ in certain aspects of, particularly on the cross, in his abandonment and powerlessness and that type of thing. So centering prayer is a really simple method of silent prayer, but it is difficult for us. So the basic steps of it are to just come into a quiet space, and if you've got that privilege, and then sit in a chair or maybe on the floor. The idea is to find a comfortable but attentive posture. So typically feet on the floor, just flat on the floor, and the back is straight against the back of the chair, and then you just gently introduce a sacred word. And the way it was taught to me by Thomas Keating is that you know, when you're just starting out, try to search your heart and find a word that you can use every time, so you're not switching up the word during different times of practice. And the word can be a word for God or a characteristic of God, something that is somewhat meaningful to you. And so, for example, my word is love, and so I'll just close my eyes and try to quiet down my body and be still and enter into that inner solitude. And then I'll gently introduce that sacred word in my mind as a symbol to consent to the presence and action of God within me. And the concept behind the prayer draws from the Christian theology that Christ dwells within us. And so what we're trying to do is allow time and space to connect to the presence of God within us. And so as I introduce that sacred word, that begins my prayer, and then I just sit in silence. But the difficulty is that all the conversations in the head start coming, and there's lots of distracting thoughts. Our mind is constantly going. It's very, very busy, and it likes to be in control. And so this prayer is about training the mind to be present and receptive, and just training the mind to be at rest. So thinking of scriptures like resting, about how we can find rest in God. So that's the idea. And as the thoughts come, it's not meant to be a struggle or a battle. As we notice those thoughts, we just gently reintroduce our sacred word. So it's a constant turning of attention to God, giving our full undivided attention to God. But we're not, the tricky thing, and sometimes people misunderstand, is that we're not looking to hear something from God in our mind. We're not really, that's a different kind of prayer. That is also important. But this particular kind of prayer is about just creating that quiet space. I think of it as allowing if we think of the soul as a garden, allowing the master gardener to nourish and nurture that garden. And then the activity or the fruit of the prayer is found in our active life. So that's an easy, kind of simple method.
Yeah.